Ms. Malliotakis. Is she with us?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman. Would you like me to go next?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank you all for your testimony and thank you to the chairman for having this hearing today. I'm actually a member also of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we definitely talk about vaccine diplomacy, the importance of it, particularly as it impacts our supply chain. So my first question would be, I guess, for our economics professors here, just if you could touch on the impact that vaccine diplomacy that has on alleviating the supply chain issues that we are experiencing today. Some of it is on vaccine mandates as well, right here in the United States, and that's impacting the supply chain. So can you just talk a little bit about both of those dynamics?
Shebnem, would you like to go first?
Sure. So basically, the United States is doing the right thing here because we do have to increase the supply of global vaccines. I just want to be very clear here. This is not about, allocating. So this is not about let me just not, give all the available vaccines in my country, but, like ration. We are in a position, as just we heard from Dr. Khan, to increase the vaccine production and the vaccine supply to other countries. And the United States leadership so far has been very good, and it is definitely in the right way, but it is not enough. The supply chain issues are going to be smoothed out when we really do this globally. If you look at the very complex spider web looking figure of the global supply chains in my written testimony, you will understand that this is not just about some chips or some lumber issue, right? So all these sectors are intrinsically linked to each other and with different countries having different exposures. So in that sense, without really doing it at a global scale, we wouldn't be able to solve supply chain issue. Plus, the stimulus, the fiscal stimulus now that is skyrocketing the demand is making the supply chain issue worse. So in that sense, very urgent that we need to roll out the global vaccine.
Thank you. Dr. McCarry, if you could comment though, because on one hand, what the prior individual said is somewhat true, but also the vaccine mandates are having a tremendous impact on our economy. New York City, it was in the New York Times today, has slowest recovery rate than the rest of the nation. Unemployment is double the national average. I believe a lot of that is due to a lot of the mandates, the vaccine passports, and other restrictions that have been put in place. If Dr. McCarry can please comment on the concerns that you have regarding some of the mandates, I'd appreciate that as well.
Representative Malliotakis, we can't get Abraxane chemotherapy in parts of the United States because of our supply chain crisis. Bleomycin to treat Hodgkin's lymphoma. There are downstream effects, not to mention the many careers destroyed and up to 1 in 5 people leaving healthcare. The real story in New York that we're not hearing about is that they're having significant staffing issues, and they're asking for a partial halt or plan to halt elective surgery to so-called get ahead of Omicron. But the real story is they're having significant staffing issues. Now, all of these problems are massive chemotherapy supply chain problems, halting elective surgery. They could have all been avoided with a flexible immunity mandate. In other words, recognizing natural immunity, allow for more medical exemptions, not require immunization for healthcare workers that are not on the front lines, that is patient facing. We would have avoided so many of these problems.
One last question to follow up regarding the mandates. How much should we be focusing on these mandates as opposed to looking for treatments and therapeutics? You mentioned the natural immunity, but what about treatments and therapeutics, making that more of a priority?
Representative, no one should be dying of COVID right now, with rare exceptions. With best practices of budesonide, fluvoxamine, hypertonic saline spray, immunization, 2 drugs sitting at the FDA, their applications are sitting on someone's desk as we wait for these 2 drugs that have cut COVID deaths to zero or near zero in both their phase 3 trials. No one should be dying of COVID right now. We never hear about therapeutics from our public health leaders, only this intense focus on vaccinations. We can do both.
I appreciate that. I think it is a balance that is required here. And I appreciate all your testimony today. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify a point here? Because I think it's very important in terms of the immunity from getting sick and not. Okay. The economic cost estimates are the short run. So the costs are going to come from every single delay. In our model, we have an economic epidemiological model. Nobody dies. But the minute you get sick, there is going to be economic cost of it. Natural immunity is going to take time. So this is very important. And with the price pressure, that cost is going to get bigger. So in that sense, the costs are really becoming from being sick and not able to be productive 2 weeks. Basically, we have this setup where, as long as you are sick a week to 2 weeks, you can go back to workforce later with your natural immunity, but that 2 weeks is going to add to the economic cost with the price pressure. That's very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes Ms. Waters for 5 minutes.